Andrew, the Assad regime has just been toppled. It's unclear what will happen next. What's your impression of the security situation on the ground in Syria right now?
Thank you, Terry. Look, opposition forces have completed in less than 2 weeks what they were unable to accomplish in 13 years since this uprising against Assad began. And it was accomplished without major fighting. Syrian government forces withdrew. And in the areas that the opposition has taken, we have not seen widespread violence or lawlessness, although there have been isolated incidents like in Manbij. And then for the region, while tense and uncertain, Israel and Jordan no longer have to contend with an Iran-friendly government on their doorsteps, and Russia is weakened in its ability to project power. So I think in the last 24 and 48 hours, we've seen also encouraging signals from both the outgoing Assad government and opposition forces to focus on a continuity of services and a peaceful and smooth transition of power. Certainly a lot remains to be done, but the early indications are promising.
Now, you're a specialist in dealing with Syria and in stabilization. Stabilizing Syria under these conditions, rebuilding the country those are going to be huge challenges. Where is the next government in Syria likely to look for help with that?
They should look to the international community. But I would say and really emphasize here that this is a Syrian-led project. And I think while there are certainly dilemmas with Jolani and HTS being designated a terrorist organization by both the U.S., Turkey, and even the UN, and there are dilemmas with how to deal with that government if they do take power, I think we need to, as the international community, for the first time ever, see that these are the realization of the aspirations of the Syrian people and really ensure that they're in the lead of their future and that the goals and aspirations of the Syrian revolution, which, is a peaceful revolution started 13 years ago, is realized. And I think that will take patience. It will take, a concerted effort. But I would emphasize that the key to success here is ensuring Syrians are in the lead of their future, not the international community or outside powers, as had been directed by Russia and Iran through their alliance with the Assad regime.
When you look at the possible scenarios for Syria's future, Andrew, what do you think is most likely? Is there a danger that it could become another Libya right next door or Afghanistan? How can that be avoided?
Certainly, there are fears about what comes next, and I would say, those are legitimate and likely outcomes that could, cause the country to further descend into chaos. But really, one thing to emphasize is the cohesion of this anti-Assad coalition has been remarkable, and despite the bloodshed and suffering over the last 13 years, which has come at the hands of outside powers trying to dictate where the Assad regime goes and how they deal with the uprising that they've experienced. This is the first time that the Syrian people in more than 50 years are in the driver's seat of determining their future. And that is critical. And, another sort of point to emphasize is there's been a lot about the normalization that was coming at the hands of Assad with the UAE and other regional actors. And the state capture that was conducted by Iran and Russia was quite destabilizing. As your previous guest mentioned, there were millions that fled the country. Over half the country's been displaced. And while the moment is fragile, I think giving the Syrians a chance to lead and determine their own future is the best way to prevent it from falling into chaos and more instability.
There are many groups operating in Syria. There are many other outside countries who have been involved in Syria. ISIS is one of the groups that's still there. The U.S. is actively fighting the group with the help of the Kurds. How big of a risk is there of a major ISIS resurgence in Syria, Andrew?
Well, certainly that's a fear and a risk. But what we've seen is HTS coordination with the Syrian Democratic Forces and General Mazloum, which are leading the anti-ISIS fight. We saw over the last day more than 75 areas of ISIS presence hit by the international coalition to prevent a further exploitation of ISIS using this moment to sort of secure more land. And I think what we've seen is a real pragmatism by both the SDF, the Syrian Democratic Forces, and HTS. And again, I think the presence of the former prime minister of the Assad government staying in place to ensure peaceful transition of power, all of that continuity of security, governance, government services are really promising signs that the vacuum will not be exploited by actors like ISIS to conduct more threats to Syria and the region.
HTS was backed by Turkey. Turkey is a major regional player. It has issues with the Kurds in Syria. What role do you think Turkey will play in Syria's future in the medium term?
Well, certainly Turkey comes out as ascendant in this in this scenario. There have been many reports that they at least greenlit the operation by HTS, although there haven't been formal confirmation of that. And I think what you've seen in the past, day or so since Damascus fell to the opposition is you've seen, thousands of Syrians who've been displaced in Turkey attempting to return to their homes. And that's a key point, sort of taking the reason that these people fled away, which was Assad. It can enable a real goal of Turkey, which was to find a permanent, more sustainable area where the millions of Syrians in their country could go back peacefully and with dignity to their homes. And I think there's still a lot to be determined on how the SDF coordinates with this new Syrian government in Damascus. And certainly Turkey will want to avoid any type of scenario that creates an autonomous Kurdish or even independent Kurdish state on their border.
Andrew, thank you very much for now. That was Andrew Sinclair, Senior Advisor with the Dexus Consulting Group in Washington, D.C.
Thank you.